Platinum, by targeting this particular pain point, has been able to be the third biggest market into PVC stabilizer in just the span of last 4 to 5 years. And the industry is now going from lead based to calcium based, because calcium is more or less less harmful, significantly less harmful to the PVC stabilizer for that matter.
So I think if you look at the revenue growth, so from FY21, it had a revenue of I think around 89 to 90 odd crores,
Okay.
and which went up to 264 crores in FY24. So this particular growth reflects a CAGR of around 44%.
Hi guys, welcome to the new podcast. We are into our new office as well. So I think from now on you'll see this setup a lot more. So today I think we're going to discuss something about a chemical company which is more into like a sustainability and all. Yeah, so the company we're going to discuss is Platinum Industry. But unlike the name, there is not into the business of making platinum or anything like that. It's just a coincidence of the name. But so if you notice, water pipes in your homes, even taking a basic plastic case of your mobile phone. So all these things are made from something called as PVC, which is your polyvinyl chloride plastics. So, but there is one particular element that is found in this particular PVC, is that the lead, which is used as a stabilizer for the whole PVC structure. But that lead chemical is actually very harmful for your health and all. So that is the particular pain point that this particular company has put. And where the company is especially into the specialty chemicals, that they takes a very long time to get a market leadership, let alone any significant market share. But however, Platinum, by targeting this particular pain point, has been able to be the third biggest market into PVC stabilizer in just the span of last 4 to 5 years. So I think
it got not listed. It got incorporated in 2016 end.
Yeah, but after that particular market target, they have focused after 2019 or 20.
Achha, okay.
Yeah, and since then they have been, I think, now third biggest player, where the top two players are actually global players, not even Indian players.
So basically, it is the largest in India, and globally it comes in the top three player. And I think
no, it's the third biggest player in India right now.
Achha, okay.
And the first two is captured by the two global players.
I think it has around some 12 or 13% market share.
Yeah, right? Close to that. So I think the company is relatively young, but I think it is changing that particular emphasis about the company, because many in the industry has been very slow to adapt this particular change, and the industry is now going from lead based to calcium based, because calcium is more or less less harmful, significantly less harmful to the lead based PVC stabilizer for that matter. And as I said, the main component has been the change from lead to calcium, and this is, I think, evident in the numbers also, because between 2016 to 2023, the company has, earlier it used to be a lead prominent based PVC stabilizer, so it has around 76% of its products were based on lead based. Same number has now came down to 51%, and at the same time, the calcium based stabilizer has gone up from 8% to 34%.
So this is from 2021?
Yeah, 2016 to 2023.
Okay.
Yeah. So in the span of last maybe 6-7 years. But yeah, I think as we know, it's not just a compliance-wise strategy, because these particular sustainable sort of chemicals are also in demand. So they also tend to attract a little bit higher pricing point in terms of the final product.
And basically they're getting ready for the future as well.
Yeah, exactly. They are not getting ready. I think they are kind of leading that particular. That also would be a right statement to say. But I think one particular thing that makes this possible for Platinum is that their R&D investment, which is around 3.5 to 4% of the revenue. For a chemical company, this is a very good. Even if you compare that with Indian standard, that is exceptionally good, because here even pharma companies has around 6 to 7% of their revenue as R&D, where for a chemical company, this is, for example, the industry average is only around 2%, and this is almost double. So that is actually what makes Platinum sort of a leader in kind of a sustainable chemical in PVC stabilizer. And not only stabilizer, I think they have other elements also, as example of CPVC additives. So they are also, they enhance the heat resistance capacity of any pipe. So basically it makes the pipe longer lasting, and the longer the pipe lasts, the better it is, because the replacement cycle is longer. And over in the longer term, it's also contribute the sustainability theme that the company I think is based on basically. And however, the company is based in India. Actually, the demand of this particular product portfolio that the company operates in is actually very high in export market, because they are generally very stringent in terms of all these things. However, currently 92% of the company's business comes from India. Only 8 or 9% of its I think exports. The company is, I think, aiming to increase that particular share, because they are coming up with a new Egypt facility. So that will be their first greenfield capex in that particular area, and they target the whole Asia Pacific and Middle East market also with that. So from harmful to sustainable chemicals, and now from India to global markets. So I think there are two very key reasons that are focused on this particular company. And as I said, it's not just getting ready, it's, I think, making that, it's taking a leadership in that particular chain. Very small company. The market is predominantly dominated by a big MNC player in India at least. And of course, the market is very niche. But once you start to get that particular change in terms of harmful to sustainable, I think that chemistry expertise that the company will have can also be reflected in other parts going forward. As of now, there are no plans, but I think it's a very that becomes a very key enabler for a overall company and even in the industry, because it's going toward a greener future basically. So I think that was the story part, the platinum that has. What the story, what did attract us. Now we'll come to the numbers part. So I think for that, you have some numbers for us.
No problem. Yeah, so as you correctly mentioned, how platinum is on a has been on a growth trajectory since the past few years, and it is still it will still continue to be on that particular trajectory. So that is also reflected in its financials as well. So I think if you look at the revenue growth, so from FY21, it had a revenue of I think around 89 to 90 odd crores, and which went up to 264 crores in FY24. So this particular growth reflects a CAGR of around 44%. And this was, basically, as you said, there is a rising demand for such sustainable stabilizers, and because of that, Platinum was able to, capitalize or capture that particular demand. And this is, and going forward, what is it is expected that from FY25 to FY27, this CAGR is supposed to be at 37%. Now people will be thinking that the growth is slowing down, but then they also need to keep in mind that the earlier growth was on a smaller base. Yeah. Now they've already set up a higher base, and on that they're having this growth. So basically, it shows the company is still going to grow at a good pace. It shows that there's still ample demand left for the products which they produce. That is there. And now when we come to the profitability part or the margins part, so I think EBITDA rose from single digit figures of I think around 8 crores to 61 crores, and that is a huge jump. So because what had happened was during this period the margins also shot up for them from 9% EBITDA margins. The EBITDA margin shot up from 9% to 23%. But then when researching, what we found was that these 23% EBITDA margins might not be sustainable. The reason being that now what Platinum is doing is, for the next leg of growth, they are focusing more on volume, and their product mix is evolving. So they're shifting their focus towards those lower margin products. So because of that, what we feel is that their margins will stabilize somewhere in the range of 17 to 18 odd percent by FY27. But that is still not a problem, because their EBITDA growth is still expected to be at a higher rate than its revenue CAGR. So I think revenue CAGR was at around 37%, but EBITDA is expected to grow at around 47% CAGR. So basically, this shows that the volume growth is going to be at a much higher level than their margins. So even if they are taking a hit on their margins, but the number of products or the number of units they'll be selling will be so high that it will still surpass its revenue growth. So that is there. And so basically it shows that how at the same time they are shifting to the sustainable stabilizers, also taking a hit on their margins, but still they are not compromising on their growth. They will try to still be in that particular trajectory. So that is there. And also what's interesting is to provide this particular growth, the company is incurring a capex.
I mean, they have to.
Yeah.
They're planning to grow at a such high exorbitant rate. There has to be some capacity expansion.
Definitely.
Okay.
So yes, I think so. Basically, what Platinum is doing is, I think the current production capacity is at around 60,000 metric tons per annum, which they're tripling it to 1,80,000 metric tons per annum, and that this is supposed to happen by the end of FY26.
Okay.
So
Just
basically,
next 1 year.
yeah, in the next 1 year. So basically, the expansion is still in progress. So I think, and the expansion is divided into two locations. So I think one is the existing facility. So they have one of the facilities is in India, which is the Palghar facility. So currently, there they already have a 60,000 metric ton ka plant, but they are adding another 60,000 metric ton ka
So
plant
doubling
over
up the
there.
India capacity and maybe
Yeah.
adding another 60 on Egypt facility.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that way.
what they'll be doing is, in that 60,000 facility, they will be entirely be focusing on the calcium based stabilizer,
Yeah.
which you had already mentioned.
Sustainable part.
Yeah, so it aligns to the shift towards the sustainable part, and at the same time they're getting the growth. So that is there. And the second thing is, they are opening a new facility in Egypt, which is a greenfield facility, and as you mentioned, that will particularly cater to the export markets where there is a higher demand than the Indian subcontinent.
Okay.
So there also they are coming up with a 60,000 metric ton per annum का capacity. Usme what they are doing is they've divided it into two parts. So I think 30,000 will still be for lead based.
Okay.
And because there is still demand of lead based stabilizers in that particular region.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So they are not just completely getting out of that. They're
Yeah.
like, if we're getting business from lead base also, we
So
will
why
try
not
to have
capture
it.
that as
But
well?
we'll not go and much more aggressive on that front. But we'll focus on. Okay. So they'll leverage their India facility for that whole sustainable part of the business, and another new one in Egypt.
So basically, as you mentioned, जो shift हो गया already product mix में कि भाई यहाँ calcium based stabilizer बढ़ गए, वो बढ़ जाएगा और, but they won't really leave from the lead based stabilizers market. They'll still try and capture that opportunity as well. And then as you had mentioned, there are other products like CPVC additives and compounds. So I think the other 30,000 metric ton per annum will come for those products.
Okay. So 200% expand करेंगे. 100% in India, 100% new capacity in Egypt from the current one basically.
And basically they are funding this through the IPO proceeds. So I think IPO आए हुए भी अभी 1 साल कुछ हुआ है.
Yeah, I think it's a very newly listed
very
company.
new company.
So okay, interesting. So sustainability is there. They are also aiming to increase their export share also. I mean, of course, the new facility, I think it's pretty evident that they are doing that for. And another thing that is capacity expansion, both in India and overseas. So there are, pretty much very 2-3 things that are going in favor of the company. But I think one thing it still questions everyone is that the valuation. How do you value a company? Because it's a specialty chemical company, and the company's margins are at around over 20% as of now. And if you, as you mentioned, they are expected to taper down. But I think 70%, 17 to 20%, it's still they're targeting in terms of the margin.
Yeah, they'll be there in that particular range. Yeah.
And what we have seen in the market is generally specialty chemicals company with this high growth rate and the EBITDA margin in that range generally tend to trade around 40 to 45 times, but Platinum is trading at around 27 times. So I think there must be some reasons.
Yeah, obviously, that. I mean, as you mentioned, कि हाँ भाई industry 40 to 45 के band में trade करता है, but why is Platinum at 27? So obviously there will be reasons. Market actually उसको discount अभी
so I think
नहीं कर रहा है.
One pretty obviously there is very young company.
So execution needs to be tracked.
Yeah, and the listing history is also something that is, so basically there is this general trend that the management does not if themselves see that many cycles in the market and in their industry as well. So I think because of that, the market participant might be giving that, looking the company from the lens of that doubt, that how the company can, navigate if times are not going as good. But I think the plans that the company has right now, they are scaling the operations, they are expanding their global presence, and of course the sustainability point of view is something that is long term tailwinds that the company is enjoying, and the revenue growth is also something which is a bit on a higher end compared to the other players in the market. So all these things, assuming that the company is able to execute, tick the check boxes of all these things, then that particular discount that we're talking about right now might seem to be taper off going forward.
Yeah, obviously
So,
there is a chance of re-rating
yeah,
at least.
but
to the
a very
industry
close
levels.
eye needs to be keep on all these particular factor,
It's
and a regular, of course, updates needs to be taken, because I think key risks also are there, such as the scaling of the facility, because India, they have already a facility and they're doing a brownfield capex. That's not a big deal. Something needs to be watchful is their Egypt facility, a new market, new government. How do you deal with the officials and all? New regulations, because they are going to cater into the Middle East market. So that particular facility will be very crucial going forward. And if they're able to, do that, post that also there are questions like capacity utilizations and all. So instantly, you can't
ramp up
scale.
their utilization. But
Exactly.
at the same time, I think there's also this one issue. I think the top three customers of the company contribute around 60 to 65% of the revenue.
That generally is a problem with small companies, because how else would you grow such a high rate?
Yeah, so that is there. And
But I think as the company grow bigger in terms of that,
obviously
that should
they
reduce.
also diversify when it comes to their end user customer.
And PVC being derived from crude oil, so raw material price fluctuations will
So that
definitely
also needs to be tracked.
So I think some challenges are there, but the overall trajectory of the company seems very solid, especially its presence in the chemical industry, sustainable chemical for that matter. And if the company, whatever it has done on a small base, can be able to achieve on a bigger scale or a bigger base, that will be very positive for the company going forward. Some key parameters needs to be taken care of by the company and the management, and as an investor also we should keep track of those particular parameters, because it's a very active kind of a thing in investment. But that's something I think that you guys only have to do, because we are not giving any advice or anything.
I mean,
this is just for an entertainment
you guys
purposes.
now know what things need to be tracked, what things you guys need to watch out in this particular company. So you guys can also check this out. We found it interesting. I'm sure you guys might find it interesting.
Too. So the question is, can platinum industry give more return than gold? So that I think time will only tell. But for this time, I think we're doing a wrap. And see you guys in the next one.
And don't forget to
like, share, subscribe, and bye bye.